Live. Yeah, there you go. Live. Hi, baby. Hi, babies. Hi, sweet birthday babies. Even though most of you are not having a birthday, but that comes from Russian Doll. Hello, my sweet birthday baby. There's actually a supercut out there because one of the main characters, one of the first things, it's one of the secondary characters actually, but well, she's kind of a main character. But one of the things you keep hearing her say over and over and over again is, "There you are, my sweet birthday baby." And there's a super cut of her all the time saying "sweet birthday baby." It's adorable. She's also smoking marijuana laced with, I think, ketamine. It's either ketamine or opium. I don't remember which, but it's like I should talk. There were times when, back in my day, back in the 70s when I was a teenager. Yeah, I've admitted to some drug use. And we used to, we used to get some pot that was, as we used to say, laced. They didn't have ketamine back then, but we had a friend who actually used to lace his pot with opium, and it was quite good. So we're not going to talk about drug use, because I could spend a lot of time talking about drug use. I did my fair share of drugs. Not Keith Richards level. Very few people have attained that sort of godhood. And most are not alive today to talk about it. So, but yeah, as I like to say, I pretty much sampled just about everything except like heroin. I never done ecstasy. Any of the newer, Molly, any of the newer drugs I've not done. Old school, THC, marijuana, barbiturates, amphetamines, a little coke now and then. Definitely did opium. Yeah. I can see why those people in opium den, and I can tell you from experience, I can see why people in opium dens just sort of lay there and just space out, because that's what it does to you. It really does. Yeah. That was definitely one drug that I did that at one point I said, I have to stop doing this. I will get addicted to this shit. And I did. I stopped. I didn't get addicted. I stopped. I just said, no more for me. It's just too much. It's killer. So here we are, last Saturday in Pride, last weekend in Pride Month. Yeah, June went by too fast. It's just too much. I have to tell somebody I'm on. Hold on a second. I know she's up. Contacting Lynette. It's 7:00 in the morning out where she lives. I should give you an idea of what time zone she's in, because everybody knows I'm on Eastern. But I'm letting her know. So quite a few things have happened to me, and we'll talk about this thing here eventually. But I mean, nothing new on the job front. Big surprise there. I have applied for a mental health disability, which could pay me upwards of almost $800 a month. Yeah. And I think I can prove I have mental health issues. I could probably also say that since you have to file and say I have a mental health disability, that I have severe depression, a lot of companies don't want to hire you because of that. So maybe I'll get that. I mean, I have been brought into hospitals for mental health issues in the last 10 years. So there you go. Let's see how that plays out. Still waiting to hear on Social Security. My fingers crossed. But I need to write a recap at some point today. I've been saying that for a few days now. I need to write a recap at some point. I should make probably about $225 writing this month. So that's going to help. Add that. I actually figured it out. Right now I've got $2,200 in the bank with what I'll make off of writing and what I'll make off of my pension. Pretty much got my rent covered for the month. So good deal there. Got some extra expenses, though, that have popped up. So I'm hoping that I won't burn through as much cash in July as I did in June. So, but that's the idea. So writing, yeah. I'm trying to come up with new ideas on stuff to write about. But part of the problem I have is I don't really follow like a lot of crap on television. I don't. I really don't. So there's not a lot of stuff on TV that I follow. So it's like when they're going, why don't you write about this? I don't watch that. Why don't you watch it? Because it's crap. I don't watch it. And besides, because of my schedule at night playing Derby, a lot of times I'm not even home. So shit happens. But the two biggest things that happened to me this week all happened down in Lancaster for the most part, except part of it happened out in Philadelphia. So most of what I'm going to talk about is Derby, but I'm also going to talk about medicine. Why am I going to talk about medicine? Well, also, my mermaid story is over on Wattpad. If you want to read it, let me check. I know I should have checked this shit beforehand. I only have one follower. I'm following one person, but I have 88 reads, and I'm up to 868 in the mermaid tag out of like 1,300 people, 1.3K. So I'm doing terrific. But I got 88 reads. I actually had somebody who was reading almost as quickly as I was putting the stuff out there. And I have an idea for a new story, but I know some of you guys are not into mermaids like me. I'm a mermaid. Yeah, I have a swishy tail. I wish I had a swishy tail. I have the butt for it. So I'm going to try putting some more stuff out on Wattpad and see what happens. We'll go from there. But Thursday, I had received, and I'm playing with my hair, I had received a referral from my sports medicine doctor, Dr. Payne, which is a good name for sports medicine doctor, Dr. Payne. I got the referral from her from when I had my muscle pull. And she had actually referred me to a group of physicians that worked with her husband. They had contacted me and said, well, we're not taking any new patients, but this other doctor at this family health center, she's taking on patients. So I got a referral to her. I switched her over to my primary care physician, and now Thursday I actually went and saw her for the first time regarding, hey, being transgender, needing to get back on hormones. Sorry about that, I hit the table. Needing to get back on hormones. So I met her for the first time, and she's really super nice. Her nurse who works with her, she's super nice. She's this little bundle of energy. I was up to 223. That's my weight went up. I went up about 2 pounds. I was like, my weight went up. How the hell did that happen? Well, mainly it's because I've been binging on Ben & Jerry's ice cream of late. I've had a real sweet tooth for Ben & Jerry's, especially Cherry Garcia, salted caramel, and strawberry cheesecake. Oh, I love that. I really got to force myself to not eat the whole pint in one sitting. Yeah, it's hard. But anyway, yeah, she was really nice. Both her and her nurse are wearing trans flag pins. I asked her how many patients she had, and she said she's actually got about 40 trans patients. And I was like, holy shit. I knew there were a lot of transgender people in the area. I didn't realize there were that many. But 40 people. There's a lot more of us out there than you imagine. So anyway, I had given her my old history from my old doctor, from Dr. O'Connor. And it's funny because she's looking through this stuff and she's looking at, your prolactin count. And I said, is it bad? She goes, it's awful low. And a prolactin, for anyone who is not, they're actually what we call estrogen. There's not really one estrogen. There's estrogens. There's actually 3 different hormones that make up what is known as estrogen. They call them estrogens. Most people just say estrogen as a plural, but you have prolactin. I forget what the third one is. And then there's estradiol. Estradiol is really the main one. That's the stuff that really kicks in all the feminine features and stuff. But prolactin is also used for breast development. The boobs. Now, estradiol will develop your boobs, but a lot of trans women have said, once they were put on prolactin, their boobs increased in size considerably. And we went over what my dosage was, which was I was doing injections. And we figured it out that it was something like, I was doing the equivalent of like 3 milligrams of estradiol every 2 weeks. And she was like, wow, that's a real low dose. She says, that's really kind of a low dose. So she asked me how I felt on that dose. And I said, for like the first year, when everything was moving into place, I began to feel, the mood swings, and I was on my cycle and everything else. And I said, but after about a year, everything leveled out. I mean, I'd still have mood swings every once in a while, but it wasn't like I felt like I was on a cycle anymore. Everything just kind of felt the same. And she said, I think you hit a point where you just kind of plateaued and stayed kind of in the same level all the time because it was such a low dose. So, and she said the same thing about my Spiro. She said, 100 milligrams is kind of a low dose. And I said, well, what do you mean? She says, I have a couple of patients who are on like 600 milligrams. I was like, holy shit. Spirolactin, which I take, suppresses testosterone because I still got all the original equipment down there. Now, I'm not producing almost any testosterone whatsoever. But I was real low because as you age, you see all these ads on TV about low T. Well, you used to. You don't see as many anymore. But you used to see these ads about low testosterone. Oh, is it making you feel like you're less of a man? Well, I had low T before I started on hormones. And then when I went on Spiro, it just like my labs kept coming back constantly, showing I had literally almost no testosterone in my body. So, whatever I have down there, it ain't working anymore. So that's cool. So she said, okay, well, what I'm going to do, we talked over all this stuff and I had to sign the consent forms again, realizing, if you take estradiol, if you go on a hormone therapy, you can get breast cancer, all this other stuff can happen to you. It can be bad. It can increase your mood swings. One of the bad things about this is it can actually make you more depressed. Go figure. Because women, I've said this before, and it may seem like a stereotype, but estrogen seems to unlock whatever filters you put in place to keep your emotions in check. So if you are suffering from depression and you go on estrogen, your depression can get worse. It can actually drive you to suicide because your depression, really gets bad, because now you're feeling things a lot differently. You do start thinking differently. You do start feeling differently. I've said all this back 5 years ago when I started on hormones, and I was telling people what it felt like to go through hormone replacement. So she said, I'm going to write the scripts, and then I want you to go get your lab work right away. And I was like, what do you mean by right away? She goes, you can do it as soon as you leave the office. I was like, really? And actually, I went to a hospital and just walked in. I said, my doctor prescribed lab work. And Lancaster Medical is all tied in one big network. So she's prescribing all this shit. She's prescribing my meds and sending it off to where I usually get my stuff at CVS over here at Target. And she's asking for lab work. And she said, I'm going to check you for diabetes and I'm going to check you for hep C as well. But I want to see what your levels are. And she says, I'm going to give you the meds. And then when you come back, we'll discuss what I see. So she prescribed lab work for me. I went to a hospital, walked in. I said, my doctor ordered some lab work. And they looked it up and they asked my name and my birthday. And they go, oh, yeah, it's right here. Sit down. We'll call you in a second. I was in and out in like less than 5 minutes. I mean, I didn't even have to make an appointment. I just walked in, got my lab work, and walked out. So I was done at like 6 o'clock. That's when I went to get the stuff done. And then she ordered Spiro for me. Wanted me to take 200 milligrams daily. She upped my dosage from 100 to 200. But most importantly, I now have the little blue pill right there. That is 2 milligrams of estradiol. That's estrogen. I'm back on the pill. There you go. I'm on the pill. 2 milligrams daily of estradiol, which is a hell of a lot more than what I was taking before. And like I said, I think we figured it out that I was taking like the equivalent of 3 milligrams every 2 weeks. As soon as I got home yesterday, because I picked up my prescription, I called in and they said, you have 2 prescriptions waiting. I went and got them and came back. And I took a pill as soon as I got in. As soon as I laid everything out, I was like, pop, I'm done. So I'm doing 2 milligrams daily. I'm sure as soon as my lab work comes in, I'm expecting a call sometime this week that the doctor's going to want to have me back, because I have 0 refills on my Spiro and on my estradiol, which means she's going to have me back in probably within the next couple of weeks. We'll talk about my lab work, and then we'll make adjustments if necessary, which I really like, because I can get a time before I got to go to practice. So I'm not having to drive down there, especially if it's like on a Wednesday or Thursday. Just say, hey, can you get me in on a Wednesday or Thursday, late afternoon? And that's basically what I did. I went for 4 o'clock on the afternoon on Thursday. By the time I was done with her, by the time I got done with my lab work, it was after 6. I got something to eat at the food court in a mall. And then it was like 7 o'clock. I'm sitting in Barnes & Noble reading and having a Frappuccino because I needed a caffeine fix. And then I went to practice and busted my ass. But we'll get to that. Yeah. And 2 other interesting things. She was telling me that, she was telling me that she's trying to start up an LGBTQ plus coalition in Lancaster. And she said, if you're interested in being in it, you're welcome. And I said, yeah, I'd like to be in something like that. She also told me there's a place in Lancaster where they do LGBT yoga. It's all LGBT, mostly women, some of whom are trans. That's it, it's all LGBT people. So it's kind of cool. I'm going to kind of look into that. I've been trying to look into it, and I haven't been able to find much on I haven't been able to find much on it online. She also said that she is going to give me a referral to a therapist. They have a therapist in their office. And she says, I'll give you a referral to a therapist, because she said, would you like to get back into therapy? I said, I'm not taking any meds right now for my depression. But I said, I will be honest. There are times when I'm kind of like, I'm hoping today is not the day the depression kicks in and I start getting bad again. I said, I really have not been able to get a hold of a therapist for the last year. And I would like to get back into therapy because it helps. And now that I have medical insurance, it's like covering every fucking thing I got. I didn't have to pay any copay. The medical insurance I have, because I'm not making any money, basically pays for everything. And of my 2 prescriptions, my total out of pocket was $1. One prescription was completely free. The other one was $1. Woo. So if I can get back into therapy and it's not going to cost me anything, I'm hoping. It's like, are you in our network? Because I cannot afford, a couple $100 for a therapy session. I really can't. But if it's covered by insurance, hell yeah, I want to get back into therapy. I want to get back in real bad. Because I think at some point I'm going to need it. And then last but not least, because my medical records from LGH, Lancaster General Health, that's what the network is called, indicated that I had seen Dr. Payne because of a sports injury. And I had to tell them what it was. And Dr. Payne is actually one of Dutchland's supporters. Her office is actually a sponsor of DDR, which makes a lot of sense. We have a chiropractor and we have a sports medicine doctor. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, so when it all come over to Dr. Corbin, that's my new doctor, and she's like, so you play roller derby? Both her and her nurse gave me that look too, like, roller derby. And I goes, yeah, I play for Dutchland. And Dr. Corbin, she makes a comment, I've watched that before. You guys are so badass. That's exactly what she said. She goes, you guys are so badass. And she goes, I've always wanted to do that. If you tell me you've always wanted to do roller derby, I will talk your head off trying to convince you to do roller derby. So I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Okay, now hold on. If you're ever really interested in wanting to do roller derby, I said, we're going to have our next recruitment in September, and we'll be starting our TOT program again in October. So I said, this is a perfect opportunity for you. And of course, then she comes back and she's like, I can't skate. I said, I hadn't been on skates for 40 years when I started. But she was like, could you skate when you were younger? I said, yes. But after not being on skates for 40 years, it's almost the same damn thing as not being able to skate. And I said, and I couldn't do much. I couldn't do a crossover. I couldn't skate. I could not skate backwards as a younger skater. I could not skate backwards. I could never figure out how to skate backwards. I could turn around, but I couldn't skate backwards. So I'm telling her, I know derby players who, when they first started out as whatever you want to call them, fresh meat, tots, whatever, literally could not skate. And we taught them. I said, that's one of the things. I said, you're going to be in a 14-week program. It's not about knowing how to skate. I said, not everybody who comes in knows how to skate. A lot of people are not that good skaters. Some of them can't skate at all. They need help. So I said, you will be taught how to skate. And I'm explaining the program to her. And she's like, wow, there's a lot of stuff you have to go through. I said, yes, it's a 14-week program. And I go, that's because they're not going to let you play until you have passed all your minimum skills. And they know that you basically are safe enough to go out on the track and scrimmage. And then you have to pass an assessment there. So I told her, I says, now that I know you want to do this, I said, I'm going to bug you about it. I said, come August and September, yes, I will be bugging you about joining Dutchland. I said, get ready for it. So she said she would consider it, but I said, just come out, get on skates, go around a couple of times. If after a few practices you decide it's not what you want to do, no harm, no foul. And I told her the first 5-6 weeks, you're just going to be learning how to skate. I mean, literally learning how to skate. I said, so you don't have to worry about taking hits and stuff like that. So I will keep after her. But one of the interesting things is this is the first time I've had to go to a doctor. And she's checking my heartbeat and checking stuff. And she's checking my reflexes and stuff like that. And she's looking at my legs. And I have a bunch of scars and bruises on my legs, mostly from derby. And she looks at my legs and she looks up at me and she goes, I know, you play roller derby. And that is the first time I've ever had a doctor do that. And it's something that we always warn new players when they come in. It's like, make certain that if you have a doctor's appointment coming up, that you have them put a notation in your file that you are now playing roller derby, or you're with a roller derby team. Because literally there have been women who play derby who have said they've went to their doctors, or better yet, went to their OBGYNs, and the doctors noticed all these bruises and shit on their body. And, the first thing that's going to come into thought is, wait a minute, is this person in an abusive relationship? And if they are in an abusive relationship, that doctor has, she has the responsibility to actually report it. One of my teammates, one of my old teammates, Pixie Panzer, she said, yeah, one of the first times after she started playing, she went to her OB/GYN for her annual pap smear, and the doctor is noticing all these bruises on her, and she just goes, no, I'm playing roller derby now. And she said her doctor would always make the comment, it's a good thing I know you play roller derby, because with all these bruises, I have to report this as, I think you're in an abusive relationship. So we kind of warn everyone, when you go see your doctor, make sure you let them know you play roller derby. Otherwise, they might start freaking out. So, the doctor just yeah, I know you play roller derby. Yeah. You can see the after effects. And speaking of roller derby, yeah, that's how I got this. I got this Thursday night during practice. And I got that Thursday night during practice. I've also got this big scratch here. And I have another one on my back. But yeah, this nice derby kiss. Got that during practice Thursday night. Geez. Yeah, we've been... Oh, man. Oh, we've been doing crazy stuff. Boy, I can't remember exactly what we did Wednesday night. Wednesday night, I think it was mostly we kind of played derby. But Thursday night, Marie Antoinette, one of our all-star players, she came back and she was coaching, and it was all about jamming and urgency. And we were trying different jammer moves and stuff like that. And we kind of did that Wednesday night as well. But we were trying a few new things, and I got scratched. That's what this actually is. It's a scratch. I got scratched by somebody's, I'm not going to mention their name, but I got scratched by their fingernail. And it started bleeding. We didn't even know it was bleeding until like 2 minutes later. And then the person who scratched me, she transitioned around to do something to stop. And then she just looks at me like that. She goes, "Oh my God, you're bleeding." Like that. And I was like, oh shit. So I said, okay, I'm going to go take care of it, because WFDA regulations say if you're bleeding, you have to leave the track. You're not allowed to be out on during a game. If you start bleeding and the refs notice it, they will call the jam and order you off the track. You are not allowed to return to the track until the bleeding has stopped or you've stopped it somehow. They just, part of it is we don't want to get any fluids on the track other than sweat. And the other part is we don't want to get any blood out there that could come in contact with another player. Makes sense. So the minute they see blood, you have to get off the track. And I said, I'm taking care of it. I know the rules. Get off the track. Go take care of it. So I went off. I cleaned the wound. I went back. I got a bandage. I put it on, and I came back. It took me all of about 5 minutes to clean everything up, dry it off, and then put a bandage on so it wouldn't bleed anymore. Yeah. But yeah, we were doing some jammer stuff. Wednesday night, I had to jam against an all-star pack again. I actually had to jam against an all-star pack twice because I was. Oh man, yeah. And I'm trying to learn how to move back and forth. And that was one of the things we had to do. Marie actually timed us, and she says, in 30 seconds, I want to see you moving back and forth. I want to see you every time you move. I want to see how many times you're moving. The idea being you're trying to get the pack to move around so you can create a hole and go through. And I actually ended up doing it. I didn't get through, but I did create a hole in the pack by jumping back and forth. It's tiring. And a couple of times I would actually, like when we were done, I'd have to take my helmet off because I start getting hot and air out a little bit. And I would be real short of breath because we're kind of doing these practices on our own. So when you're doing this, you're actually pushing yourself a lot harder than you would imagine because you're not taking as many breaks. And since there aren't as many of us at practice, you're not getting much of a rest. So like I even said, I'm actually wanting to do more jamming because I look at it as it's a form of HIIT, which is high intensity interval training, which is supposed to be really good for bringing your endurance up. And what HIIT is you do some form of aerobic activity as quickly as possible for a set amount of time. And then you have another set amount of time which you don't do anything. And then you go back and you do it again. And one of the things with HIIT is they say when you're expending energy for aerobic activity, go to the limit. Push it as hard as you can. Well, when you're playing jammer, especially against an all-star pack, like I had to do a few times. Yeah, you're expending a hell of a lot of energy. So that's what I said. I look at this like being a jammer is HIIT, and it's going to get my endurance up. And I have noticed it's starting to come up slowly. It's better than it was. But I said, that's really, I want to try playing jammer as much as I can over the next month. It'll help me learn how to move But at the same time, it'll help start bringing my endurance up. I said, I'm going to need that for home team. Yeah. So I said, I'll need that for home team. I want to get that up. I'm learning how to be a jammer. I want to learn how to be a jammer because I want to learn to be a pivot. I want to play pivot someday. May even get a chance during home team, because the way they were talking about it, it's like, you feel like playing the inside, you play the inside. You feel like playing pivot on the outside, you can play pivot on the outside. You feel like being brace, you can be brace. You feel like being a jammer, you can be a jammer. You may want to just say, hey, let me be jammer this time. Let's see what happens. So I'll probably do something stupid like that. But I want to learn. I mean, that really is what it's all about. And one of the things I also said Thursday night is the thing I'm really learning about myself, and I've said this before, is I got to learn how to hit harder. I said, when I was going back and forth as jammer, I was laying a couple of hits on people. But I realized later, I wasn't hitting them as hard as I could. And I've done that before where I know how hard I can hit. I mean, I've gotten oomphs from Dash and a couple of other players. And like I said, during the last scrimmage we had, I knocked down two players. I hit one and bowled her into the other. And somebody else, when we were sitting on the bench, she said, you don't realize really how strong you are. She goes, you can hit pretty hard, So I said, I got to learn that. I go, because I don't feel like I was hitting hard enough. And Dash is kind of nodding her head going, yeah, when you go in to hit somebody, you got to hit them. You got to hit them hard. And she does that to us. When she comes in, she slams. I mean, she slams into you. And yeah, I know this from experience because I've had to block her. So, I know this from experience. When she comes in, no, she don't pull any punches with me. She knows. You've played, honey. You were on the blitz. You're basically a vet now. Boo. And she comes in, and she comes in hard. Yeah, she does. So you learn to take it. It was funny. We even told, it was Dash and me were the wall, and one of the jammers was coming in, and we're like, you got to hit us, because she was coming in like real timid. And we're like, you got to hit us. And Dash goes, don't worry, we can take the hit. Don't worry. And I was like, yeah, we've taken hits before. We can do this. Don't worry. You're not really going to like mess us up. So just come in and hit us. And I was doing the same thing. I was being a little timid in hitting, and it's like I gotta step it up. If I want to be jammer, I want to start breaking this line up. I got to start hitting people. So, but we were doing stuff like going into the wall as hard as we can and stuff like that. And another one, we were kind of like dipping down and coming up. And I led with my head, which is something you're not supposed to do. That would have actually gotten me a penalty. And I hit everybody's elbow guards with my helmet. I said, let's do this again. Yeah, you're not allowed to lead with your head. That's actually, that can get you ejected from a game. Marie, I had forgotten this. She was actually at the Lacey Night Clinic last year in February that I was at. So the move she was doing, I was like instantly like, oh, I know what we're doing. And I even asked her, I said, are these from the Lacey Night Clinic from February? She's like, yeah. I said, yeah, I was there too. All right. I said, I was just there watching. I said, you were playing. And she was. She was actually on the track while I was watching, because I couldn't skate then. I had passed my 27.5. Yeah. But I got to skate the next time, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah. Lacey Knight, she's a pivot, and she is a good pivot. So Marie, she's a pivot. I had told her once before, I said, my goal is eventually I'd like to be a pivot. And she says, well, I'm not going to dissuade you from that. But one of the things we did for cardio was we partnered up and we were skating around in the outer pack ref lane. And then two of us would take off and race each other. And then we'd race back up to the back of the other players. And then they would take off. And we did it 3 times. And the first 2 times I was teamed up with Acid Rain, Ray, as we call her. And the first 2 times she beat me, which I kind of expected. But the third time, I saw her take off, and I just dug in and got the inside line. I mean, I was right on her butt. And I finally got past her as we were going into the turn. I mean, it was a tight squeeze. I basically got up, and I'm like, on my inside. I went around. And I ended up, as we were coming out of the turn, I ended up pushing her to the outside. I mean, I was into her pushing, and I took off. And I can hear Marie yelling, way to go, Nomi, come on, come on, come on. And yeah, I basically beat Ray back to the pack. And she was even like, wow, way to go. And everybody, Marie was like, too, good job. Because the whole thing that we were doing, it was all about urgency. It was all about quickness and speed, and mostly putting everything you had into getting somewhere. Because really, Derby's a game of seconds. It is. And in 3 seconds time, you can make a difference between not getting any points and forcing the other jammer to call off a jam so they don't get any points too. And speaking of games, like I said last week, because I did my video on a Friday, I went to ECDX, the East Coast Derby Extravaganza, held outside of Philadelphia. And it was a long day. I went with my coach, Coach Mayhem, and we both volunteered our time. Now, I was supposed to check tickets at the door, and I was also supposed to work on a track. And by work on a track, I mean, I was going to be like the tape girl, one of the tape girls. In fact, Mayhem and I were supposed to both handle track 3. Well, when we first get there, they were like, since you guys are here early, do you want to do anything? And I said, well, if you have anything you need me to do, I said, I don't mind jumping in. Because I said, I'll have some, I should be able to do something. So they had me inputting stats into a computer for a couple of hours, which is kind of boring, but now I know how to do it. And then I had a 4-hour shift of sitting outside and checking wristbands and badges as people come in the door. And people who come in, I had actually people walk up to me with money, and I was like, no, you got to go down there and register. I don't buy the tickets here. No, you go all the way to the end, and there's an entry there, and you go through and you register there. But the funny one was, if you're a player, you have to wear a badge. I had a badge. I actually had my badge. And where is my badge? Where is my badge? Oh, my badge is over here. Let me get my badge. My badge. Yes. I'm actually, while I'm at it, I'm picking up a couple of other things too. I know you're going to say, Cassidy, maybe you should have had all your shit together before you started. And I'm going to say, yeah, you're probably right. I probably should have had it all together before I started, but you know what? I didn't. Who cares? Sue me. Blah, 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 blah. Where is it? That's not it. That's Satan. That's Satan. I have two Satan's little helpers here. Ah, here it is. I got it. Satan's little helper. She's a good jammer. So I got stuff. So first, yeah, this is my ECDX badge. As you can see, I was event staff. Trying to all this, yeah. So I was event staff. I had to wear this all day, but I got in for free. And that was the sort of thing I had to check. You know, you have to check badges. And then I bought a couple of things. I bought a mermaid skirt. Yes, I have a mermaid skirt now so that I could wear it. I'm going to wear this during home team season. Yes, I will. I'll wear my mermaid skirt. And then I bought a tank top that says, I am a strong athletic queer. Yes, I am. Which, you know, you need this for pride. I'm sitting here trying to get this done right. Yeah, there you are. Strong athletic queer. That's me. And the woman who sells these, she sells like a strong athletic mom, strong athletic woman, strong athletic gay. And she says she's coming out with one that's going to be strong athletic trans, which when that happens, I'll buy that. And of course, I have on my helmet, I have the strong athletic woman trans sticker now. So there you go. All that in heaven too. But yeah, keep my ECDX badge. So I was checking badges, and the best people about that, all the players have badges, but a lot of them don't wear them, you know, because they'll come off the track and, you know, they'll forget that they didn't have their badge on. So they're going outside to, you know, some players smoke. Some just want to like sit outside and get under some shade and relax a bit before they come back in. And then when they're coming back in, they're like, oh, I don't have my badge. You know, I don't have my badge. But it's like, well, you're in a frogmouth jersey for your team, and they cannot be duplicated. You know, no one can just like get on frogmouth and say, I want to order a jersey for like Atlanta Roller Girls or London Roller Girls. Or in the case of the ones I had that were the funniest about it was Malmo, Sweden, Crime City from Malmo, Sweden, and Rain City from Manchester, UK were there. So were the London Roller Girls, and so were the Paris Roller Girls. Yeah, we had 4 teams from overseas. I think there was another one too. Oh yeah, Bear City from Berlin was there. So that's 5 that I know of. But yeah, and the Swedish girls are walking out. It's like, I do not have my badge like that. It's like, you guys are wearing Crime City jerseys from Frogmouth. You're legit. I know you guys are players. Go on in, you know. And the only one I had to check, I had to stop. I was like, you don't have your badge. And she had an English accent. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot where my badge is. And I just then noticed she was with a bunch of girls from a rainy city, the Manchester, UK. And she's opening up her bag. And I look at it and I says, is that a Frogmouth jersey for Rainy City? And she's like, yeah. I said, you're a player. Go on it. She says, are you sure? I said, you can't duplicate. No one's going to sneak in with your jersey on. You know, nobody can buy a jersey except players from your league. I said, go on in. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And she was like, oh, thank you. And I was like, but you do need your badge. You better find it because somebody might not be as nice as me. They might start hassling you that you're walking around without your badge on or something. You never know. So I did that. And at one point they come up to me and they go, I really don't need 2 track girls on track 3. One can handle it pretty well, because they had the lines taped down so well. They were using like this extra sticky tape, which Mayhem said she had actually bought and we were going to start using. So they were like, would you be interested in being track manager? I was going, okay, what does a track manager have to do? Because I have like no freaking idea. And they were telling me, basically, you're in charge of the track. You make certain the teams get on and off in time for their practice. You make certain things are taken care of. Trash is unloaded. The dressing rooms are clean. Stuff like that. And she said, if you go down at like 7 o'clock, because they wanted me to work from 7:30 to 9:30 for the last bout on track 1. So go down about 7 o'clock, talk to Red. She's the track manager now down there, and tell her you're taking over for her and she'll show you what to do. I was like, okay. But before that happened, I got to meet Gritty, the mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers. Yes, he came to ECDX. I say he, it, Orange Hellbeast, or whatever. But I was rejected by Gritty. Gritty would not hug me. I was rejected by Gritty. What's that say about me? Gritty rejected me. Gritty got to meet itty bitty Gritty Kitty. I mean, they found London Roller Girls found a small black kitten that apparently had been abandoned. They brought it inside, and some of the refs and NSOs for Gotham Roller Derby took it in because they could keep pets in their hotel. And they got it a litter box and food and stuff like that, and they named it Gritty Kitty. And now it has an Instagram. If you go out on Instagram and look up itty bitty Gritty Kitty, you'll see that. So I have to send them the picture I took of Gritty when Gritty first saw the kitty and was petting it. And that's how it got its name, Gritty Kitty. Yeah, but I was rejected by Gritty. Thanks, Gritty. Thanks. But then I went down to manage the track. And I was told the same thing, sweep the track, keep the water jugs full, help the players, clean the dressing rooms. If anyone got hurt, there was an accident form that I had to fill out. The other woman, she says, do you know how to fill out an accident form? I said, I've never done this before. She goes, well, it's pretty simple. You shouldn't have too many problems. And she gave me a radio. I had a radio. So I got this radio clipped on my legging, and I have the mic clipped here on my T-shirt. So I'm like walking around there like, you'd hear, track 1, how you doing? And it's like, this is track 1. I'm doing okay. Over. I was having a blast with that because it was like, this is track 1. We're getting ready to go into halftime. Over. And they're like, thanks, track 1. Because by the time I started managing the track, our schedule was way off. We were off by about 45 minutes. So one of the things that we were going to do, I had heard Red cut out early. And then someone told me, I think it was on the radio, I don't remember, but they said, your teams have already had their captains and NSO meetings. They said they get 10 minutes for practice and then you go into the game. I was like, okay, Roger, I got this. So I went down and introduced myself to the captains and the coaches of the team. And the teams that were playing were Queen City, who are from Buffalo, New York, and Windy City, who are from Chicago. Hey, my old stomping ground, kinda. The Queen City, it was the Windy City All-Stars versus the Queen City Lake Effect Furies, because Buffalo gets a lot of Lake Effect snow. So it was the Lake Effect Furies, and they were ranked in the mid to high 20s. These were good teams. They will go to the East Coast playoffs, no doubt. So you're talking about playing at a much higher level. And these were basically like the two highest teams I've ever seen play in person. Ranked at that time, I think they were ranked like 22nd and 25th. So anyway, I walked down and I'm like, first I went to Queen City and I was like, excuse me, but could I speak to the coach, please? And they were like, I'm the coach, one of the coaches. And I said, well, I'm your track manager. And I understand you've already had your captains and NSO meetings. It is my understanding that we're going to do 2 10-minute segments for practice. I said, I will be timing you. You go out first. Windy City goes second. I said, I will be out in the center with your coaches. I will time you. You will get exactly 10 minutes. Don't worry. And he was like, oh, their coach was like, this is really nice. Thank you so much. And I told the same thing to Windy City when they showed up. I went and talked to the coaches and I said, you will go out second. I said, as soon as their 10 minutes is up, I'm going to clear them off the track. You're going to get your 10 minutes. I said, I will be timing. You don't need to worry about it. I will let you know what the time is. I will let you know when your time is up. And they were like, okay, thank you so much. So I got my phone out when the time starts, when they got everybody else off the track. I said, we're going to get everyone off the track, and as soon as they're done, you guys go out. So the minute it ended and everybody was off the track, it was like Queen City comes out. I walk to the center, and I go up to the coach. I said, your 10 minutes starts now. And I'm looking at the clock, and they reset the clock, and the way it was running, I figured by the time both practices were over, the game was going to start like a minute and a half later. And we're checking, before we do this, we're checking water jugs. I had an assistant that was with me. I said, check the water jugs, see if they need filling. We had actually had a couple of players come up to us before the game, and they're like, can I get water? I said, give it here, I'll fill it up. And we were both like that. If you need water, we'll take care of it. Don't worry. We got this. So I'm out there timing, and Queen City, their coach, a couple of times would go, how much time have I got? I'd say, you got 12 minutes. I'd be like, you got 7 minutes. You got 5 minutes. I said, when you get down to 2, I'll give you a 2-minute warning. And I gave her the 2-minute warning. They finished up. I reset my clock, and I looked over, and all the Chicago girls are getting ready to skate out. And I yell, Windy City, you're on. Boom, they were out. And when the coach came out, I said, your 10 minutes starts now. And I said, she's like, okay. They actually finished up faster than 10 minutes. But all the time I was out there doing it. And then finally she said, see, we're done. I said, thank you so much. Let's get everybody have a good game. And I timed it, and I was like, I got on the radio as I'm walking off the track. I go, this is track 1. We're preparing to start the game over. We're prepared to start the game. And they were like, thank you, track 1. Thank you. It was a good game. Before halftime, I was telling my assistant, I said, I think we need to get out there. If you can get out there and sweep the floor, I'll check the water jugs. But you go out and sweep the floor, because it was last swept at the last halftime. And so I think we're going to have 15 minutes. Actually, we ended up getting 10. So I said, sweep the floor and we'll get it cleaned up. And as the game had ended, as halftime is starting, I was walking over there, and a couple of the players were like, could we get the floor swept? And I said, I'm already on it. My assistant is going to sweep the floor during halftime. I said, we're going to take care of it. Don't worry. And they were like, oh, thank you. Because it was sport court. There was a lot of crap coming up from between. One player got pulled out for something happened. I was like, well, I better go check on this. So I walk over to the Queen City bench, and I'm like, is she going to be okay? Do we need to file an accident report? And they were like, give us 10 minutes. And I said, okay, I'll be back in 10 minutes. And like 12 minutes later, I was back. I was like, do we need to file an accident report? She says, no, it's good. It's just she hurt her muscle. I said, okay, great. We're done. I said, that's it. So, yeah, we swept the floor, and then we filled the water jugs real quick. They're 5-gallon water jugs. And I said, let's get them filled. So we put water in there. We topped them off with ice. We brought them back. We set them up. We made certain everything was okay. At the end, we had to do closeout, which was empty the trash and clean up the dressing rooms. And we handled that. But the really nice thing about it was when the game was over, and that was actually, everybody comes out. We didn't have a big crowd because it was late at night, and the team from Chicago probably either flew out or they drove out. I think they probably drove out. And not a lot of people came out with them. So I'm walking back. I went up and I got a snapshot of the scoreboard so they could post it on the ECDX Facebook site. And as I'm walking back, I'm holding out my hand, slapping, the Chicago players as they're going by. And nearly all of them were going, "Thanks for your help. Thanks so much. Thanks for your help." All this other stuff. And the Buffalo players did the same thing. A lot of them, as they go by, they were like, some of them came up and said, "Thank you so much for all the stuff you did for us." It really felt good. It felt good to be able to do that. And me, I like things that run smoothly, so I'm kind of like, this is cool for me. I enjoyed it. Coming home, I was telling Mayhem, I go, "Well, I got to manage a track. I know how to do that now. So if we need a track manager for the Eastbound Throwdown, our tournament," I said, "I know what to do." And she's like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I got to manage the track for Chicago Queen City." And they were thanking me after. So I said, I apparently did a good job. I go, now I have a good idea of what it takes to actually manage the track, what we need to do. So I can do that. If you need a track manager, I can do that. And I would love to be one of the track managers for Eastbound Throwdown. One of the things I had told her, she was like, "I don't really want people working late and then coming in the next day early." And I was like, I used to do cons all the time where I would run games because I go to gaming conventions. And I said, and that was my schedule. I said, I would run like the first games in the morning and then take the rest of the day off and then come back and run the last set of games at night. So I said, my schedule would be 8 to 12 during the morning. And then I'd come back 8 to 12 at night. I said, I was only getting like maybe 5 hours of sleep. I said, I don't sleep that much anyway. I said, I really don't. If I go to bed, I usually go to bed at like midnight or 1 o'clock anyway. I said, even on the nights when we have practice and I'm not in bed until 1 o'clock in the morning, I said, I'm usually up at like 7 o'clock the next day. I said, it's just the way I am. I said, so I could work like first 4 hours during a shift and then just stay there at Spooky Nook and find a place to catch a nap and then work the last shift before I go home. And she's like, "Oh, well, glad I know that now." I said, it doesn't bother me. I go, this is how, really, I said, that's my schedule. That's just kind of how I do stuff. I go, a couple of times when we've had home bouts and I show up for practice the next day, seriously, I'm up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, the day after a bout and the after party. So I said, I'm not in bed until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I'm up at 7. So that's only 5 hours of sleep. I said, I get a solid 5 hours. But that's 5 hours of sleep. Now I said, I'll take a nap at some point during the day, but don't have to worry about me. I can do this. So it's like, volunteering for all this crazy shit. So it was an experience. It was fun. I got to learn basically how to do tournament work and had a great time doing it. Tournament work. I can manage a track now. And I can say that. I managed a track during a bout between two rather high-profile derby teams. Yeah, with a radio. I loved having the radio. I did. It's like, this is track 1. We're closing. We're at halftime. Over. They're like, thank you, track 1, for the check-in. But I actually got invited back. They actually said, we love the job that you did and hope to see you next year. Saw a few people I knew, ran into, Derby people that I knew. They were there. They're like, "You're working here?" "Yeah, I'm working." It's just the way it is. Had so much fun. It was a long day. It was a busy day. I was tired. Even Mayhem was like, we weren't going to get back to Lancaster. I rode with her from Lancaster. We weren't going to get back to Lancaster until almost midnight. She's like, "I feel sorry for you. You got another 40 minutes to go." I was like, "I've done this after parties. Don't worry. I can handle it." But I was tired. I was tired by the time I got home. And yet I was still up Sunday morning at 7 o'clock going to practice. What the hell is wrong with me? I won't be at practice tomorrow night because I'm actually going to do a thing for Pride Week out in Carlisle. I'm going to go to a gender identity workshop. I'm going to be there. So that's basically my last week. It's crazy. 1 hour and 6 minutes. Oh, it's a long time. So Pride Month is almost over. I do need to write something tonight. I actually have an event I'm going to tonight. One of my teammates is getting married. Now, I'm not going to be at the wedding. She said she actually only invited a few teammates. I think she has a couple who are actually standing up. So it's mostly like close friends and family, but they're having an after party at 10 o'clock with a band outdoors. And she invited like everybody else from the team to come to the after party. I'm like, cool, I'll go. And actually, I am intending on going. I don't know what the hell I'm going to wear, but I imagine there's going to be some people who are dressed up, so maybe I'll get dressed up. Maybe I'll just throw on one of my summer dresses and go like that. Wear flats and have fun. We're supposed to get rain today, but I kind of hope it holds off because this is all going to be outdoors. If it's going to be outdoors, it's going to be miserable. So I'll be doing that today. That'll be tonight, and then I'll be in Carlisle tomorrow morning. And yeah, it's going to be busy. Yeah, busy for me. Busy weekend. I could even go see a roller derby bout tomorrow if I want to, but it's down in Maryland, and I don't know if I can swing that. So we'll see. Anyway, you take care, have fun, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.